Yes. Tax remittances, yes. TD1s, no. TD2s, no. Layoffs, yes. Workers' comp, sure, right? Is your team familiar with the people deciding to work from home in those reports?
Hello, what is going on, guys? Welcome to our Friday live. As you can see, I'm not Juliana, or Juliana looks completely different right now. Juliana has some technical issues. Well, technology, I guess that's what happens. But for now, my name is Alif. I'm the marketing specialist here at Payment Evolution, and my role for the next 10 to 15 seconds, hopefully Juliana can get her mic working and everything, is to essentially fill the time here while I'm in front of you guys live. But if you're joining in right now, and whoo, there goes Dustin. If you're joining in right now, we are going to be talking about SaaS pricing strategy, the whole world about SaaS pricing strategy. I'm going to be interviewing Juliana once she logs in about how to kind of go about it. You know, it can be a little complicated at times, but Juliana is going to be sharing her expertise with us here on this live stream. But if you guys do have any questions or any comments or anything of that nature, feel free to comment them down wherever you're watching this. If you're watching this on Facebook, there's a comment section underneath. If you're watching this on YouTube, there should be a comment box that you see on your screen. Feel free to communicate with us through that box. But for now, we are still waiting for Juliana. So in the meantime, while I am here, I am actually in our office today. And I gotta tell you, when I first got hired into Payment Evolution, I was basically working from home because, COVID and everything. So I didn't really know what the office looked like. And, this is only like my third time in the office. And I gotta tell you, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. But if I can give you like a small mini tour right now on this live stream, just to kill time, just to give you like a sneak peek of what exactly goes on here at Payment Evolution. Let me lift my laptop here so you guys. Okay, well, that was a little weird because my internet unfortunately got disconnected, but we are now perfect. So I'm not gonna stand up with my laptop again because my internet got disconnected, but just take it forward that the office here is really, really nice. And there we have it. Juliana is now here. Let me bring her up to the stream.
Hello, hello. The technical difficulties did not have to do with the costume. They were in fact technical difficulties. My damn microphone and camera just wouldn't connect. So anyway, but I'm here now.
Wow, it's like they're playing trick or treat with you, right?
How are things with you?
It's going good.
That is fair.
Yeah, so I think we have to tell everyone about your costume. So, guys, for anyone listening or watching this right now, so my first call with Juliana today was earlier today, and I was expecting, the regular Juliana, just kind of glasses working and everything, but she shows up to the meeting in that costume, and the thing she did was she had like the AR sticker or whatever you call it of like a creepy bunny / rabbit / donkey. So you can imagine that with her costume, it sort of freaked me out. But it's Halloween's here, you gotta do what you gotta do. And it looks like the technical issues are trick-or-treating yet again. But yeah, guys, I'll be honest with you, that costume really like caught me off guard. You know how you join a meeting and it's kind of loading? So I clicked the meeting this morning with Juliana, and as it was loading, I was expecting like her regular self, just a typical Friday herself. But then I see like a half donkey, half rabbit sort of thing coming up the screen. I was like, "What is this?" It's hilarious.
I'm glad to entertain you, Alif.
Yeah, you seem like you're having a lot of fun with that.
I am, although I'm really warm. And there was a lot of big talk about from people in the office about having costumes on today. But I'm the only
Well,
one I've
today, right?
seen. Yes.
Yeah, that's today. No, I'll just put a
I'm a
filter
very
on and
lonely
then like have
rabbit.
a.
There you go. I'm a very lonely and warm rabbit. And
I mean,
the cutest thing is that my daughter, well, we have a pet rabbit, and my daughter is calling me by the rabbit's name today. So when I was coming into
oh
my home
wow.
office to work, she was like, "Bye, Happy," which was so cute.
Oh, his name's Happy. It's so cute. Oh no.
Mhm.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, it's perfect time to wear a costume. We're going live. I probably should have worn mine, but
yeah, that's okay.
next
That's
year,
okay.
no.
I'll forgive you this time.
Uh,
I won't be this
this
kind
time
next time.
until next year or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time, Juliana, to be here on this live stream. We got an exciting show for you guys all. I'll be the host, I guess, of this live stream. You know, usually Juliana kind of hosts it, but whoa. But today we're talking about pricing strategies, more specifically SaaS pricing strategies, and I'll be interviewing Juliana about this topic. Just to start this off, Juliana, can you tell us just briefly about your experience with SaaS pricing and whatnot?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just opening up a backup Wi-Fi connection because I'm not happy with the way that this is flowing right now. So I might switch at some point. But anyway, yeah. Well, I've been in marketing for over, well, I guess about 20 years. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math at this moment. And I've spent a lot of that time working in tech, specifically in tech. I've also spent a lot of time working in finance. So the cool thing about marketing is it's kind of transferable, not kind of, it's completely transferable. So so I've been able to touch a bunch of different things, but yeah, I've definitely worked in the tech space, in the finance space. I've worked in the software space specifically, and I think the interesting thing about software and pricing from a marketing perspective is that it's not just sales. You're not just thinking about making money. There's more to it. So I think that's kind of interesting and exciting. And I'm not sure if people think about something like pricing as a tool to help you achieve other things. So yeah, that's I definitely have a decent amount of experience doing that kind of thing, but also have, I think, an interesting take on SaaS pricing.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to jump into it. Perfect. With that being said, let's just get right into it. But before we start, do you mind maybe defining what is SaaS? So I hear like SaaS this, SaaS that, and it seems to be a term that keeps coming up. What exactly is SaaS?
Yeah. So for a long time, I guess for a long time is kind of funny because we've only been using software for so many years. Like software wasn't around 100 years ago. But, initially when software became a thing that people bought in their homes, and it was, you wanted to get your hands on, the latest whatever, you would buy a copy of the software. You'd buy a disc of some kind and you'd pay the one-time fee. SaaS essentially is turning that into a recurring model. So instead of spending, $500 up front for a piece of software, you might spend $30 a month and use the software as a service, which is ultimately the acronym SaaS, SaaS. It's a brilliant model for a lot of reasons. The thing that I like about it the most is that it perpetuates development. Like as a tech company, you're not done once you've done developing a version. You need to keep it up, and you're literally in there all the time. So it's an engaging. I think it's a process it's a model that engages everybody, the people that are using it on a regular basis and the people that are developing. It's kind of a real-time experience, which is cool. Mhm.
I see. So basically, things I'm subscribed to, like, Adobe Suite and the Netflixes and things of that nature. Would they be considered as SaaS?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing. Software used to be this concept of just something that you needed on your business computer, but it's not like that. Now we have I have subscriptions on my phone to services where I'm paying monthly, and that gives me access to edit photos or whatever on my phone. So we really do see that the SaaS model is everywhere. It's not just about business. It's not just about home. It's about or your phone. It's sort of everywhere. Definitely growing in popularity as a model.
Yeah, and it seems like even the average everyday person is somewhat affected by SaaS pricing, even though it sounds technical. The price you pay for a Netflix subscription, Amazon Prime membership, whatever it is, that's still you being affected by a SaaS pricing scheme. It seems like, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, like,
So.
with that being said, how would something as abstract as a Netflix, for example, how would they
Mhm.
go about exactly pricing their services or products in a sense? Where should they start?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to actually take one step back and just let's just stop for a moment and appreciate that Blockbuster was an enormous business, a household name. And they had a model where you paid as you went. You would rent a video and you'd pay for that video, and it wasn't dirt cheap. I think they were like maybe 6, 7, 8 bucks or something a rental. And so if you did that multiple times a month, you might actually be racking up a decent bill on rentals. And Netflix completely rethought it. You can have access to our entire library based on what's available, and we'll ship it to you, and you pay us a regular fee. And the great thing is that, well, it's sad for Blockbuster, but clearly, I think what Netflix has shown us ultimately is that the recurring pricing model works. It essentially gives the company a predictable amount of income so that they know how much they can keep investing in development. And we see that with Netflix. They're developing Netflix originals and they're great. They're not bad. They're great shows. And then you have the fact that people sometimes won't use the software, right? Maybe I have a busy month and I don't watch much Netflix, or for whatever reason I'm not using my membership. Um, in a Blockbuster model where you're paying for video, you lose that money because I'm not coming in every Saturday. Whereas on a Netflix model, even if I'm busy, you can count on my $10 or whatever it is. So it really is a winning model for people who want their services to stay great and for businesses. So that's my take on that.
Interesting. Yeah. And every business should turn SaaS into like a. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So sorry, you had asked a question, and I wanted to come back to that because I know that I didn't answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think
this is a little
cool.
loud.
I think I think we've got a lag. Excuse us, everyone. So there was one other thing that I wanted to say. Yeah. So your question was about what does a SaaS company need to, or what does a company need to consider when they're preparing?
Yeah. What's the first couple of steps? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So there's this really interesting stat I read online that most SaaS companies spend like 4 to 6 hours, like tops, figuring out their pricing model. And that's kind of scary because, from my perspective, because if you don't give it proper thought, you might end up over servicing in certain areas. You might end up with a client that isn't actually your ideal client. Essentially, you need, as a foundation to any pricing, including software as a service pricing, recurring pricing, you need a strategy. So if you're just going to slap a number on it and call it a day, that is not enough. And that is what most SaaS companies are doing. It is super, super important to go beyond just thinking, oh, I think this is what people will pay, or I think this is what it's worth. You need to think about it from all angles. And so the elements really are, you have to figure out what's your strategy. And based on your strategy, then you can consider the model that you're going to use. And the model is essentially how you're breaking down your pricing. You might have a $5 plan, a $15 plan, and a $35 plan, and that's your model. And you've got startup fees on one, not on another, whatever. But the model isn't the goal, or sorry, it isn't the first and last step. It is the next step. You have to start with the strategy.
I see. And how does a company know when the strategy is a right fit for their unique business? You mentioned there's different tiers and models you can go into and everything. Everything kind of sort of stems from the strategy. But then how do you know the strategy is actually aligned to the right business, which therefore affects the model in that case? So how do you find alignment between all that?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, because I think we'll often just kind of look at whatever our instinct is. Like I'm used to paying a fee every month for Netflix, so it's so easy to just default to what your experience is, but you need to consider all of the variables that matter. And with SaaS, the variables could be a number of things. It could be usage rates, like are you for example, with the internet, the amount of data that passes through your connection every month matters. And so if I am an X-ray clinic, I need to be sending high quality X-ray images to doctors and hospitals all day long. I need great upload speed. So now there's a specific variable that matters. So usage. You might consider, if I'm working in that X-ray studio, is it one person sitting at a computer, or is it one automated system that's doing all the uploads, or do you actually need multiple user logins for every one of your clients? So there are a bunch of variables. You need to think about usage. You need to think about how people are using the software, how many people are using the software, and the function of that software. So, for example, at Payment Evolution, we have software as a service, and a lot of software as a service sells for a fee per month. But in our case, our flagship product, which is payroll, people run payroll on different schedules. Some businesses run payroll every week. You can run it every other week. You can run it twice a month. You can run it monthly. And so we don't charge per month. We charge per pay run, because that gives the user the freedom to use the solution on their timeline. So there are definitely a number of variables you need to consider. It's not just about putting a number, a slash, and then whatever you're going to put there, whether it's month, week, day, whatever. You need to think about what are all of those, what are all of the items on that are on the thinking about like an axis on like the various planes on a spreadsheet. You need to think about all the variables that are affecting your pricing and what is relevant. It wouldn't make sense for you to build something monthly that is in fact used in varying volumes across the board by different companies. So definitely think about those variables.
I see. Yeah, I remember taking an online course from this copywriter, and at first when he was selling the course, it was just one-time payment. You just pay one time, you get the entire course's lifetime access. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got an email saying we are now doing a monthly membership, and it was like every month you had to pay this one. And part of me was like, no, like that means I have to pay more and continue paying and everything, right? Yeah. So I was like kind of like turned off by the whole situation. So speaking to maybe like those small business owners who are maybe considering a membership for recurring revenue just for peace of mind or whatever, what would you say to them if they're scared of losing their potential customers right now by changing the model, or maybe if they are in a membership but they want to go to like a per quantity kind of model, but they're again afraid to lose customers at a just period. What are your
Yeah, I think it's really important that you understand the voice of your stakeholders. You need to understand what their complaints are, what things they love about what you're offering are, because you don't want to solve for a problem that doesn't exist and ultimately create a problem. So if your folks are happy with certain elements, you want to know what those are. If they're unhappy with other elements, you want to know what those are, so that whatever your solution is speaks to that. It actually is a solution. The easiest way to make a transition is to grandfather the old plans in. So I think with is it with Adobe? So you could for a very long time buy the software, and eventually they are not updating that software anymore. So you can use that software that you bought that one time, spent the whatever it was, $2,000, whatever it was for the suite, and you can use it for as long as you want, but it will ultimately become outdated because it's not being updated anymore after a certain date. So you can grandfather in what someone's already bought and make that okay. And if you really want them to move over to your new model, then incentivize that. Offer a discount for the first 3 months, or offer some value that didn't exist in the other plan. The goal here, I think, with recurring pricing and software as a service specifically, isn't to try and get the most money out of a client. It's about the company being able to continuously develop, maintain a great product, and the buyer paying a reasonable amount on a regular basis that allows them to get the access they need. I'm willing to pay, I'm willing to pay $100 a month, let's say, for a product that I use 6 months out of the year. If that means that I'm getting a product that's worth $2,000 because they're working on it, because they have predictability, they know what to expect, so they know how much they can invest. I'm getting a better product by paying regularly, but I need to know that I'm getting that value. And so you need to consider, transition. Do you grandfather in previous plans, and how do you incentivize upgrades to the new structure? And then finally, oh shoot, what was that thought? Finally, the value proposition. Make sure that people are understanding the value they're getting in this new model. There's a researcher, and I don't remember his name, but I saw him speak at a conference, and in his research, he found that people are their buying decision, their choice to purchase is optimized when they feel that the value they're paying is they're getting 2.3 times more value with what they're buying. So, and you can do that with bonuses. You can do that with all kinds of things, but value matters to people. And if you want someone to pay you on a regular basis, the value better exceed the amount that you're giving them every month.
I see, for sure. And speaking on the Adobe example, I remember I was a user of Adobe before they introduced a monthly membership thing, and I thought it was okay, cool. It was a little pricey, but whatever, one-time payment, I'll have it for the rest of my life. Then when they switched over to the membership module, I was like, oh man, I have to pay every month for this? What is this? But then what's interesting is that as I signed up for the membership model, they kept updating me about the new updates, and it almost felt like every 2 days I get an update. I'm like, oh wait, they're actually working on this, and this is getting better, this is getting better. So like you said, they were showing me, I guess, the behind the scenes and the work they were putting in, and then I started feeling less resentment, I guess, about the pricing and everything, and I started taking it in more and appreciating it more for what it is. So that was a fascinating example.
That's a great example. I love that. Ultimately, change feels like, mayhem to some people. It doesn't matter if it's a small change or a big change. Some people just don't deal with it well. So you want to soften that blow. And one of the ways you can do it is time. So give them time to move over. One of the ways you can do it is to make the announcements, but you're actually launching later on. There are a variety of ways to sort of mediate that change for folks. So I think definitely look at examples in the market, because what's worked well before is a good sign. And then think about who your stakeholders are, who your buyers are, what persona are you trying to care for, and that will probably help you figure out what is going to be the best way to switch them over. The way that my mother embraces change is different than the way I do. So you need to consider that when you're making those changes at an organizational level.
For sure, for sure. I've been noticing this other model, which is very interesting, and it's they give away tools for free. So they usually charge for certain tools. I know Uber Suggest or something of that nature with Neil Patel. They find that to get leads, they're actually giving away like products, like actual tools they built for free to generate leads. And it seems like that's a strategy a lot of people are going with, this so-called freemium model or something of that nature. So to the people who are watching this right now, can you define what a freemium model is, and what is your general approach with that?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a great question. The concept of freemium ultimately is you want to get someone's foot in the door. And that aligns with the concept of like the strategy of going viral. So let's say you have a product that if you can get it in front of enough people is going to gain popularity. It's something everybody uses. I don't know, maybe it's a music app, for example. You can say this music app is going to change the world and it's worth this much. And you're probably right. It's worth X number. But you could lose your momentum getting uptake. You may never get uptake if you price it at what it's worth versus providing a free entry point. And I can't help but think about, I can't even remember the guy's name right now. I know his first name is Chris, but he wrote a book called like the $100 Startup, I think. Anyways, he gave it away for free. And I've read it. It's a good book. It is one of the top selling books of all time, but he gave it away for free. You can buy a print version if you want, but it's completely available for free. And that's how he became a household name. Ultimately, if your strategy is about going viral, freemium, having a tier for your software that is free with limitations, of course, not giving it all away for free. But having a tier that is free is huge. That is probably the most effective way of going viral. There's one other example of this, and this is very different, but let's look at Google for a second. When I'm using Google, I'm not paying for it as a searcher, right? So for me, my access is completely free. So obviously, we all know that the advertisers then pay for my attention. But really, I use a ton of software as a service that I don't pay for at all. I pay zero for through Google, right? I'm using their search engine. There's Google Docs. And, would people have started using Google Docs if it wasn't free? I don't know.
No, yeah.
We had Word. We had Word, and Word was good. Why would someone switch? The value proposition of being in the cloud, is it worth more? Maybe. For some work groups, it's definitely worth more. But the issue was you couldn't know if you didn't try it. So yeah, freemium is definitely a way to get people in the door. You also have to be careful because it'll eat into your margin if you don't do it strategically. It'll eat into the people who would have otherwise bought. So you need to be very smart about what you include and what you give away. And you have to find a perfect balance there.
And so let's speak on that then. So let's say a small business owner right now, they own a SaaS company, everything. They decide to give a tool away for free. Again, trying to leverage this model. And someone, I guess, grabs this free tool. What can they do to now convert that free download, the person who got the free tool, into an actual paying customer? What does that journey sort of look like? Any of tips around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so easy, I think, as a salesperson or a marketer or a developer to really just think about your area of the user's experience. But it needs to continue, or all that money you spent, all that energy you spent acquiring the customer, they will be lost. You won't retain the customer. So an example would be, if I'm doing an incredible job as a marketer and I manage to get, 1 million people to visit my landing page every year, or my client's landing page every year, and maybe we have a really high conversion rate, maybe 60% of those people sign up for the free software. That's great. But if we then don't make sure that they also use the software, all of that money and effort and time and everything, all that energy spent acquiring the customer is lost. If somebody doesn't use a product, they don't really care that they have access. It ultimately becomes, they forget the login. They don't know the password. They can't remember the name of the software to even type in the damn URL when it's time that, I'm pretty sure there's a photo editor I can use, I think I have a login somewhere, but never mind. I'm going to Google, and you start from scratch. So it's not just about having the freemium model. A free offer is not enough to make somebody a paid customer. A free offer that someone uses, gets value from, and then you can either convert them with value through sales or marketing because they love your product so much they want more. It really is a journey. It's not just I got the eyeballs on the landing page, so I don't care. Imagine a marketer who just was only focused on creating ads that got clicks, but no conversions. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you are at writing an ad. It doesn't matter how perfect that ad is, because all of those elements need to come together for it to make sense. So freemium, if you're not sure if it'll work for you, test it. You can do it for a limited time. And be strategic about what you include and what you exclude, and then think about that whole experience.
I see. Perfect. And so what's the difference between a freemium model and a software that offers a free trial? Like, what is the difference, and when should someone leverage a freemium model compared to like a free trial, a weekly free trial, or whatever it is, right?
So this is so tricky because this question almost assumes that every company is pricing their software with a similar approach, or that they've all done their due diligence. In an ideal world, you know that you're choosing a freemium model or a free trial or free onboarding or whatever, based on what your audience wants. So I can say that myself as I use a lot of different marketing tools, online marketing tools, and personally, my buying persona, I want to try it. I want to truly try it for free. So before I buy it, because there's a million different pieces of software out there that do the same thing. So if I have to part with $500 today to try it, knowing that there's so much competition, I personally am more likely to go with a freemium model or something that offers a free trial. If you offer me a free trial that isn't really a free trial, like you can start your free trial, unlimited free trial for this photo editing software, but the only thing I can do in the software is crop photos. If I want to use any filters, if I want to fix a photo, if I want to, turn it a different color, I have to pay. Then for me, as a buying persona, that's not a trial. And in fact, by calling it a free trial and then not letting me actually try the software, but I can crop things forever, that's just going to make me resent the fact that I wasted the time. So it really is, I think, about knowing who your buying persona is, and does it make sense for your product. There are going to be some people who, like with Adobe, I don't know if they have a free trial, but when someone says to me, when I hire someone and they say to me, I need a license for this product, I don't care if there's a free trial because I know that that person, that buying persona, like they're sure that they need what they're asking for. So it really depends on the product and the people that you're selling to.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've opted in for like 2-week free trials where I get access to the whole software for a bit of time. I've done free trials where, like, you know, I'll have unlimited access to it, but I only have access to certain parts of it. Then there's completely like the freemium. I get the entire thing for free, and then I get follow-up emails or follow-up sales calls trying to push me down the funnel or whatnot. So it seems like there's like a lot of arrays how we can kind of go about it. It's all about just kind of being creative and, like you said, understanding what you want and what your business strategy is, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And maybe the freemium model is worth it just because it creates a buzz. So maybe someone like me will only ever use that, unlimited free trial, no time limit free trial to crop photos, but it means that I'm talking about that photo app. If you know that that is the outcome and that's all you want, great. So yeah, really you need to think about, causation. What is the effect going to be? And does that translate to your goal? Is it brand awareness? Because then everybody will know about the product and that's really all you need. Or is it that every free person you better convert to paying or else you're out of business? So, you really do need to think about those goals.
Exactly. Yeah, and just some examples that come to my mind. I remember I had a Calendly subscription. So if you guys don't know what Calendly is, click a link and it'll schedule a meeting for you. And the free version is amazing. But then like they know how to choose the right things for the paid features. So one of the couple things is like you can add multiple calendars for the paid version. I was like, oh. If one calendar is like this, I can imagine what multiple calendars like this. Or you can add a profile picture, or you can add like PayPal links. And I'm like, oh, I can do that? Oh my God. So it's like that free trial gave me a taste. It's like a tease. And then they were like, hey, this is the really good stuff. Do you want this? You got to pay for it. And I was like, and I actually ended up buying it, and it ended up being a great product whatnot. Another quick example that comes to mind is Canva. So Canva is generally free and everything, but if you want to make the background transparent, you got to pay for the service. And I was like, I just needed to make the background transparent. That's all I needed to do. And they just knew right then to tease me about that. So I would opt in for the paid. I think I ended up getting the paid version or whatever.
Yeah, those are
crazy,
amazing examples. Yeah, those are amazing examples because essentially in those examples, the company, the developers, they didn't make it worthless to you. If the transparency wasn't worth something to you, you can just add a background, So maybe you now make your website completely white so that you can take all the photos off of Canva that are white and just put them in boxes. And if it's not worth it to you, there's still a way to use it functionally. So that's those I think are awesome examples. I think Calendly is a cool product too, essentially a booking tool. But if I recall, one of the limitations of the free option is that you can only have one booking type. Is that right?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So on top of, I'm not sure what else there is, but like if it's working for me and people are booking their 15-minute free consult, well, now that I've converted them, I want them to be able to book their 1-hour paid session because I made such a beautiful experience for them to just easily book in my calendar. So to take that away, it's a brilliant strategy to get someone into the product, and it's going to vary depending on what your product is.
Oh, for sure. And I think this can be like, you can lay this out in other industries and spaces as well. It doesn't always have to be SaaS. For example, a lot of content marketing is generally giving away free value. So you build like, no trust and authority. And then when people get a sample of your free stuff, they can only imagine what your paid things is. Or like you said, do like a free 15-minute kind of consultation, maybe strategy session. It would actually go in for the actual paid service. So it doesn't even matter if you're in SaaS or whatnot. It seems to be like the model or the way of thinking is offer a little bit for free, which is helpful and beneficial. And then therefore they're likely to tip over to the paid side of things, right?
Yeah, totally. It's interesting as well because there are situations where the value is not what people are actually like. The thing that takes more effort to build, effort to deliver, costs you money, is actually not what people are willing to pay for. So this is not software, but one example, for years I've been teaching anger management classes, and I really love teaching it because it's one of those amazing soft skills that can like just transform someone's life, save a marriage, get you out of jail. And the fact is, very few people take an anger management class because they want to. They usually take it because they believe they have to. And so no one really wants to pay for the class. And it's very possible that if you get the 0.01% of people that actually want to take the class and you give it to them for free, it's still worth it if you give the class away for free and then people only pay for the certificate, because people will need it for their probation officer or their lawyer or whatever to get literally I've had all kinds of clients, giving that to your employer is an example. And one comes to mind where a woman was she was asked to take that anger management class specifically related to how to treat the elderly in order to go into the old age home where her mother was, because they were, the people in that building, that facility, had a propensity for violence. So, okay, great. We want anybody who's got a license to visit to have certain qualifications. So again, if I was willing to ethically sell certificates, I could, but really I have to give the class away for free in order to get them to do the learning, almost, so it's interesting. What do people value?
Exactly. And I think what the freemium thing kind of does is, like, whenever I try to buy something, before I hit the purchase button, there's objections going through my mind. And generally the objections are, before I click buy, there's an expectation in my head that I will receive something in a certain way and it will be a certain thing. And I am worried that if I click that buy now button, the actual deliverable that's offered to me won't be aligned with my expectations. And it seems like, like that was like a big objection for me. But when you give a little sample, a little free stuff, then I get to see, oh, this does align with a lot of my expectations or even exceeds it. And hence I want to actually go forward with this itself. But with that being said, let's get a little more granular about pricing. And this is a question I'm curious about too, is when do you offer a high ticket for less customers, and when do you offer low ticket? Oh, by the way, if the reason I'm saying ticket is, when you're offering product or service, when do you charge them exceptionally high compared to exceptionally low? Specifically, when do you go for high ticket, which is a high expensive, but less customers? And when do you go for low ticket, means cheaper, but more customers, so value? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think there are a variety of ways to think about this. Is there a set of features within your software that are essential? And maybe that is, in fact, 90% of your customer base just needs those essentials. If you can offer those essentials, that stripped down list of features for less, that is a great way to get more market share, because you can get more of the market that just needs the basics. And so maybe you could charge a little more. Maybe your competitors are charging a little more for that level, but it gives you that critical mass shot in the market. And then maybe there's 90% using all of those essentials, and then there's 10% that are using an array of features. Well, you could have an all-in price and charge more for it, substantially more, because I know all you need is, the extra. I know all you need is the extra hot sauce, but it also comes with plum sauce and ketchup too, and so you're going to pay more for it. Or maybe you charge, per feature, and now it's an a la carte, so it's a little bit more, but you can buy just one extra feature if you want, right? So you're paying more for one feature versus that entire essentials package, but ultimately it's worth it to you. It's worth it to you to spend, $500 more on I think cars are a really great example. If you like I'm a mom. I just bought a car. A feature that really mattered to me, was the ability to stand behind my trunk, put my foot under the bumper, and the trunk would open for me. Because I often have a baby in my arms, and I can't put baby down. And you know what? That feature was available on the top tier model.
Oh, they got you.
And it was worth it to me. And so here's something that's funny. On that top tier model, I also got a sunroof. I am 5'2". When I am properly positioned and can reach the gas and the brakes, I'm actually in front of the sunroof. So the sunroof is actually behind me. Okay. There are people who will buy that top tier offer car package because of that sunroof. I bought it so that I could get my kids in and out, and I could get groceries in and out. Didn't have to worry about snow and whatever. That was worth it to me. But you're dealing with all these different personas. And maybe it's interesting, the things that came with it that I don't care about. It also came with the premium sound system. I couldn't care less. I can't tell the difference. But that opening that trunk thing, that mattered to me. If I could have just bought that feature, I would have, but that wasn't an option. And so they got me to pay more for that feature because I was getting extra. So it really depends on who you're selling to, what they need, what motivates them. And I seem to regularly have a visit. Dante, we are live. Say hello.
Hey,
Dante?
a NASA t-shirt.
Oh, he likes your NASA.
You like your shirt? Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah, NASA. It was just $10. And just kind of bought it.
Why don't you show your shirt?
It's a Fortnite shirt.
It's a Fortnite shirt.
I can never tell which way to go.
Oh,
Battle Royale. No bush camping.
Oh, Battle Royale Fortnite. Yeah. That's awesome. I haven't played, but I hear great things.
Yes, this is your mommy. So we're talking business. We're talking about pricing, and I'm gonna.
You're a bunny.
Yes, I'm a bunny talking about pricing. So we're gonna go back to talking, but you're welcome to stay if you like.
I'm carving a pumpkin.
Have fun.
You're carving a pumpkin. Oh, nice.
Bye.
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 Everybody who's watching, please subscribe to Mommy's on Gaming and Dante Sebastian or Dante China on YouTube. Please subscribe to those channels.
My son is plugging his personal YouTube channel and
shameless self-plug.
yes, shameless. It's true.
Follow his YouTube channel, subscribe.
You tell his mother's a marketer. And we have a joint gaming channel, not because it's good. The whole joke is how bad it is. But it gives us something to do together. So
That's cool.
anyway.
That's really nice. Yeah. I love that.
It's mostly me screaming, I don't know what's going on,
That's fun. It sounds like it's perfect bonding time too.
Yeah, it really, really is. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, speaking about that feature in the car. So the other day, I have a car too, but it definitely doesn't have that. So I was walking by this guy who was going up to his BMW. He was looking at the different direction. He puts his foot under the car and it just opens up, and without even looking, he puts his grocery into the trunk. And I was like, whoa. I just thought the most convenient thing ever because he was holding groceries in his hand.
Totally.
Mind blown.
Yeah, function really matters in that case. I remember my husband's first car, he drove the Acura RSX, which was a really nice sporty car. But there was and he had a regular version, and I don't know the model, so I'm not gonna go into details, but there was one version of the vehicle that you could buy that was considered racetrack quality. And you paid a lot for it. But the hilarious thing is, in order to race, you need a car to be as light as possible. So everything was stripped out of this car. It had no air conditioning. I'm not even sure it had windows.
Oh.
It was completely stripped down so that it literally could be a car that you would put on a racetrack. And for that reason, it was so cool. So people ordered those things, got them over from Japan, and meanwhile, they were paying more to strip out features. It's actually interesting what matters to your buyer. So you really have to know who's buying and why.
For sure, there's always a niche. And to bring it back to like pricing and whatnot, I know what I've noticed is we know when you're offering a product or a service, sometimes having multiple tiers where it's like the first one is cheaper. I find that it's easier to sell again to existing customers than getting new customers. So a strategy you guys might want to consider is offering a low tier product, whether it is certain access to the software, whatever it is, and then try to convert them into the higher tier, which would be much easier than trying to get another lower tier product. So something to consider, right?
For sure. I think, really, really big companies, we talked about Adobe a lot, Microsoft, all the big players, they can afford to have a loss leader product. They can afford to have a product that they actually lose money on because it's part of their marketing and sales expense. And they know that they are going to convert a certain number and they can manage that. But if you're starting out, this is huge if you're starting out, or if you just don't have the cash flow yet in your organization. What is the cheapest thing you can sell that has great value that gets someone's foot in the door? I don't care if it's $1, because if I spend $1, if you're giving me a $20 book, but I'm paying $1 for it and I like it, I will not hold back from buying the $100 product from you, because now I know what kinds of things you do. If you make me pay, if that book is worth $100 and you ask me to pay $20 for it, I still might not buy it if I've never heard of you before. So again, so many variables. If you think about this as a science experiment, there are probably a countless number of variables that you could test for. So a really quick thing to do: look at your market. What are other people doing? You might want to be different. You might choose not to do what your market is doing. But success leaves clues. So pay attention, take a look at what others are doing, and use that as part of the information that you're considering when you're creating your pricing.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been noticing a lot of internet marketers, and what they do to get leads is like they're noticing the cost of new acquisition and whatever is really expensive. So what they're offering now is like a book funnel where basically they give away a book for free, but once you're in the checkout process, they'll put you through like 5 or 10 different upsells. Like, do you want this course? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And finally, when you're at the end of all those upsells on those landing pages, you can then put your order in for the book. And what they're trying to do now is use the book as a free lead, like the free item to get you in. And then they're hoping, and they're probably calculated numbers, but throughout the upsell process, people will probably buy those stuff, buy the coaching program, buy this and buy that, and then check out at the end. So it's a very interesting model. People are really experimenting with different things.
Yeah, and I think, one interesting software as a service is ClickFunnels. And ClickFunnels, what's so amazing about that, they specialize, and there are lead pages. There's lots of other companies that do this kind of thing where it essentially gives you a page with the information and then the buying process built into the software. But the interesting thing about companies that specialize is that they can take data across all of their customers, and then they can start to tell you what the best practices are. So maybe, in fact, 2 upsells before you get to that free thing that you were going to give them, or that $1 item you were going to give them. Maybe that is all your audience will tolerate. Testing can be expensive, but you don't have to. We live in a world that is beaming, overflowing with information. There are best practices out there, and it doesn't just have to come from your competitors. It could come from the elements of your business, because there are a bunch of elements when you start a business or run a business that have to run. You have to handle payroll, you have to handle IT, you have to handle supplies coming in and out, and all of those things. And none of those things are all of your business, but they all still need to work well. So when you are trying to figure out, who do I hire for, or what do I buy for payroll, it's a good idea to go and see what the leaders, the people who only do that thing, are saying, because chances are they've worked it down to a fine science, and you don't have to.
Exactly. Just look at what they're doing and use that as a source of modeling or inspiration, whatnot. And last thing before we wrap up here, let's talk a little bit about pricing schemes and whatnot. I know you're doing a lot of work with PE when it comes to like figuring out the pricing tiers and everything. But as a copywriter, I read a lot about like how to lay out a certain pricing scheme so people are more likely to opt in. They'll have like the higher tier at the end and then the low thing at the beginning and then a fair one in the middle so people opt in for the middle one. They'll have like the best option tag going on there. So with that being said, when someone's deciding how they should figure out their layout for their pricing, let's say it's a multi-tier kind of pricing model going on, what are you noticing? Like, how do you recommend they start, and just get your general take on that?
Yeah, totally. I think that's an amazing question. I'm so glad you asked that. There are a couple of points that come up for me here. One, you want to make it as simple as possible, and part of that is going to come from your pricing model. You could make it as simple as $5 per person per month, unlimited usage. And if that works for your product, awesome. That's really simple pricing. And the simpler, the better. It's less information that I have to process in order to make a buying decision. So that's huge. So one of the pieces is keep it simple. The second thing is, like, keep the model simple. The second thing is you need to find the simplest, clearest way of communicating your model, even if it is complex. So this is something that we are taking a look at very seriously at Payment Evolution. We offer a variety of different things. Payroll is our flagship product. We have HR consultants in our HX team. We have health and vision and dental benefits, and there are a lot of variables there. But people don't go like, yay, I have to start my payroll part of my business. So I'm gonna spend the week surfing through all the options. So even though there are so many variables in the use case scenario for payroll, I don't want, as a communicator, as a marketer, to fill the page with information that is only going to be relevant to 2% of you or 5% of you or whatever. But if I don't communicate that information, am I doing a disservice to the folks, or if I'm not communicating it well, am I doing a disservice to that 5% or that 2%? So I think a pricing model that makes sense and is as simple as possible for your salespeople, for your clients, for the people implementing, that's all great. But you really also need to consider communicating it as clearly as possible. And for this, I recommend taking a look at pricing models and the way that it's displayed in, like, not just competitors. Look at other industries, look at completely different offers. Like my parents are in the hairdressing business. I've often thought about a membership fee, and that gets you so much a month or whatever. And there are some people who will come in every week to get their hair washed and blow dried, and there will be some people that you see every 2 months for a haircut, and there will be some people that just want to know that they can walk in anytime and they have a priority seat, but they travel a lot and they're not even necessarily getting their haircut at your place every time. Like, there's going to be so many of those variables, and think about that value piece and how the heck can you communicate it clearly so that there isn't confusion. Because the worst thing is you buying something and thinking that you bought A and your package is B, and that's not a fun experience. So communicating clearly is something that we're really focusing on, especially with payroll, because it's so complex.
Yeah, a confused mind never buys. That's what I heard in the past somewhere. Someone said that. I was like, oh, so true. Perfect. And we have come up on our time, but thanks again for doing this, Juliana. Juliana, let's say someone wants to learn a little bit more about you, who you are, and they love your child, and they love your costume you have going on. Where can they follow you?
So you can pretty much find me anywhere online at the handle JTCINA. So JT China. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And please don't be shy. Message me, DM me, connect with me. Ask me your questions. I really love this stuff. I'm good at this dynamic stuff, and I really love sharing it. So please hit me up.
Hit her up, guys. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. If you're watching the replay or you're watching this live, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be going live again next Friday at 2:00 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to come hang out with us again if you're just chilling on a Friday evening and whatnot. And other than that, be sure to tweet us if you have any questions or any topics that you would like to be talked about on this show. And with that being said, we will see you guys next week. Thanks again, Juliana. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.